Hi guys, happy Friday. I hope you have had a wonderful week. In this video, I'm going to be looking into the question, what does the person on your mind want to happen the next time they see you or talk to you? There are three groups to choose from. Group one is the amber. Group two is the firestone. And group three is the amethyst. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, group one. You chose the amber. So let's see, what does the person on your mind want to happen the next time they see you or talk to you or have some kind of interaction with you? Okay, we've got the King of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Eight of Wands, and the Moon. So it feels like this person they've got a lot of passion, a lot of attraction, a lot of desire towards you that they've been holding back, maybe to try and get to know you as a person before taking things into like a romantic or even like a sexual interaction between the two of you. So there can be the sense of starting to, kind of act upon those feelings within that they've almost kind of given this connection or your interactions sort of like a respectable time and space and distance. They've focused on maybe the more friendship aspects of things, but it feels like this person is very intent on kind of letting their deeper fantasies come to light. There may be a conversation that they're wanting to have about some kind of getaway, getting away for the weekend, going and doing something, just the two of you. Maybe if this is somebody that you've just been in a talking stage with, this can even represent kind of transcending beyond that and, asking you out on a date, wanting to have some kind of direct personal interaction with you. Or if you've hung out with them like in a group setting or it's just been kind of casual, this can speak to kind of more one-on-one time with the intention of like, I want to end the date with a kiss. Or, if you have been dating, this can be somebody that's like, I'm ready to take things to the next level. I'm ready to have you spend the night or you spend the night at their house or, like whatever that kind of looks like. But it feels like this is something where they've been holding back for quite some time in terms of wanting to kind of increase the pace of interactions between the two of you. They're kind of like not able or not willing to hold back anymore on acting upon those desires or starting to have those kind of conversations. This may even, with this King of Wands, indicate something very impulsive. So this person might really surprise you with like a first kiss. They may surprise you with something that could even involve kind of like, it feels like it would be almost an invitation to set the tone for like a romantic date, for example, that can lead to kind of like, okay, now we're spending the night with one another. Now we're going from just, having these kind of like casual interactions to something that becomes more serious. It feels like this person has also kind of thought about the possibility of sort of like, okay, if we've had these interactions or we have this next interaction with one another, I might not want you to leave. I might not want you to go home. It's like we spend the night together and then, we're together from that point moving on. It's that kind of an energy of not just, I've been curious about kind of what that deeper, more intimate level of connection would be, but I'd like to experience that with the intention of like not putting any sort of limits on how that sort of determines the course or the progress of our connection moving forward. It's like turning the page into some kind of new experience with the hopes that you can have kind of more of those experiences, deeper experiences like that. Something that's not just a one night stand, but it's almost like, okay, I like what I've gotten to know about you as a person, or the nature of our interactions at this point, but now I'm ready to kind of become more personal, become more intimate with you, and have that be sort of the tone of, like the next kind of big experience or series of experiences between us. So let's see what else they want to happen the next time they see you, speak to you, interact with you. Okay, we have why, between worlds, and time for a nap. Yeah, so with all this like orange and gold energy here, this definitely speaks to like sacral chakra, creative energy, sexual energy, kundalini energy, and then solar plexus chakra, confidence, personal power, like wanting to kind of help to sort of modify or refine your view of them. Like if they've been kind of standoffish, maybe, out of respectfulness, kind of being very cordial, being a gentleman, or, being a lady, like whatever that kind of looks like, there's a sense of like there's a whole other side of this person, a more animalistic side that they're ready to show you, where it's like, I'll be a gentleman in public, but then it's something very different behind closed doors. That's what they're wanting to kind of start to experience with you, or take that next step towards. This can also be somebody that starts to open up about things that they like, things that they desire, things that they are curious about, maybe even experiences with exes, circumstances where it was like, okay, there was chemistry and potential, but then things kind of fell apart, or the relationship became boring, or maybe it was only just based on sex, and they didn't have like that other kind of component of like, do we even like each other as people? Are we even compatible in terms of our goals and our dreams and our desires and our lifestyle? Does that align fully? They may be opening up to you about things of that nature that can help to kind of explain the approach that they've taken to you with this circumstance, where this is somebody that has been holding back. They've wanted to rush forward, but they've pumped the brakes in this situation very intentionally, because again, this is somebody that doesn't just want to kind of have a very risque experience with you. They don't just want to kind of, have a one night stand and then you're moving in your opposite directions. This is somebody that's like, okay, I've played the long game long enough, and I'm ready to take things to the next level. I've tried a different approach with you in this situation as compared to like other people that I dealt with in the past where things fell apart, and I've now satisfied that requirement within that, like, okay, we've created some kind of a foundation for one another beyond just that physical or sexual attraction. So now my requirement is satisfied enough that I'm wanting to take some proactive action. This can be something where you might have almost thought, like, is this person, are they into me? Are they not? They're kind of just sitting on the fence, about things, or it's been vague, or it's been uncertain. And so they're wanting to give you kind of some sort of reassurance that, this isn't like a one-sided attraction between the two of you, that this isn't somebody that just wants to like be in the friend zone or have you as an option or kind of like a sneaky link. This is somebody that, wants to kind of take things to a level of like, okay, now this becomes part of our interactions. Now this becomes something where we're developing this part of our connection with each other, but it's not just a temporary thing. So this can definitely be, kind of familiarizing yourself with one another's preferences, with your needs, with your desires, with that level of compatibility, if it exists. Like, it's all kind of theoretical. In theory, there's all this chemistry, there's all this potential, but until you're, behind closed doors with one another in the moment, you won't really know, like, is this something that we both want? Is this something that feels good? Is this something real? Or have we whetted our curiosity and it's best to kind of move off in other directions? So this is somebody that wants to take a leap of faith, empowered action, to not continue to kind of sow seeds of uncertainty within your mind as far as like do they just want me as like a good conversationalist? Do they just want me here as somebody to kind of hang out with? Or, is this something maybe where there's just kind of like flirtation, but they aren't really wanting to take the plunge into something that is both sexual and emotional? It's like they want to kind of enhance both of those qualities, both of those experiences for the two of you, both the sexual and the emotional component. And so it feels like they will be the one to kind of take the lead in terms of stepping out of that territory of just suggestion and flirtation and anything that's been, kind of PG rated in terms of your interactions, your dealings with one another. They're wanting to show you more of that spicy side, more of that risque side, kind of dip their toe in the water, and because they feel that the moment is right or that it's time for that. But there's a sense of like, do you feel the same way? Are you ready to kind of take things to the next level? There may even be some uncertainty with them. Like, I don't know if I'm reading the signs from you correctly. Like, they've tried to be respectful. They've tried to be a gentleman, or they've tried to be a lady and kind of like wait for you to do something. But there's a sense of like, I can't wait any longer. I don't just want to sit here passively. I'm needing to take kind of decisive action forward, because otherwise we risk the opportunity of all of this potential, all of this chemistry just fizzling and fading out. So let's get a couple more just to see what else they want to happen next time they talk to you or see you or interact with you. And then I'll get some message cards from their higher self. Okay, so we've got humor and happiness. So even though it feels like there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of sexual desire towards you, they're not wanting to like come on too strong. So maybe you've given them hints and indicators, or even something within them where it's been kind of a slow moving, a slow simmering, a slow developing connection. And even though they're ready to kind of take things to the next level, they want to do so in a lighthearted way where there's no pressure upon either of you that like, okay, we take it to this next level and it means that we're automatically an item, we're automatically a couple. We have this intimate experience with one another, and that really means something to the exclusion of all other things. It's like they're trying to keep a very sort of almost like a beginner's mind about the situation. Like, okay, I've gotten to know this person on a certain level, or we've had our experiences with one another up to a certain point. Now I'd like to see kind of what are the other aspects between the two of us that might be satisfying, that might be fulfilling for the two of us. Or if it turns out that it's kind of like it's awkward, or it doesn't really work, or it changes something between the two of you, there's a sense of kind of like a lighthearted approach so that feelings aren't hurt. So that if you needed to kind of like, okay, we tried that and it didn't work, let's go back to being friends. It's like they want to keep the door open to that as well. That it feels like fits in very well with this kind of methodical pace that they've been taking, to respect their past, to respect your boundaries, to respect where you're both at, because this is somebody that wants to give this connection a fighting chance to transcend kind of the barriers between the two of you, or almost kind of like they didn't spend all this time like getting to know you or spending time with you, or like however your relationship has developed up to this point. It's like, I didn't just spend all of that time, or we didn't just spend all of this time just to have like a one night experience and then it's all done, it's all over with. Like they want to avoid that. That might have happened with them with somebody in the past, where it's like they put in the work, they put in the effort, but then when it came to exploring kind of the sexual dynamic between themselves and another, that's where kind of the connection was lost. That's where it fizzled out, that's where it faded. And so there's a sense of like, I don't want to repeat that experience that I had with someone else with you. I'm hoping that this will be different. I'm hoping that this has more longevity, more staying power. But because it's this energy of the unknown, maybe if this is even somebody that's like, next time I see them at the end of the date, at the end of the interaction, I'm going to go in for that kiss. I'm going to announce my intentions in that sense. There can even be something to where they may be kind of strategizing the approach or thinking about that approach in terms of like, if you you reject them in some sort of way, or if it's not received well, that they're able to still save face, and that it doesn't become like an awkward thing between the two of you, especially if this is kind of like, friends, and you haven't you haven't just explored kind of the idea of getting to know this person purely for romantic purposes. There's a sense of like, I want to dip my toe in the water, but if it doesn't work for either of us, I want to be able to kind of back away from that experience and not have it kind of create any sort of long-term awkwardness where then we're not friends anymore and we go our separate ways, because they really do like you as a person. They like who you are. They like, your perspective on things. They like how they feel when they're interacting with you or in your presence. And so there's a sense of almost like, I want to honor that component of our bond with one another, but I also can't continue to sit on this desire to explore something much more than that with you. So let's see what they want you to know from their higher self. Okay, and they say, I won't let you go. So yeah, this is something where they may notice from you that you're kind of like uncertain, like, does this person have feelings for me? Is this going anywhere? Is it just a waste of my time? They might have kind of given you mixed signals, or it's just been very unclear. And so they can almost sense that the momentum you had at kind of the start of your connection, it's sort of fizzled or faded away, or it's almost kind of reached sort of a lull or like a quiet place to where they're needing to take some kind of action in order to see, can that spark be revived? Can we breathe life into this situation in a way that there's a more expansive possibility for us, a new horizon to kind of aim towards, something more that can be explored between us? They also say, you hit me out of nowhere. So yeah, this is somebody that it feels like had very intense sexual attraction and desire towards you right from the beginning, maybe based on the nature of like how you've met one another, how you've interacted with one another, whatever's kind of going on in either of your lives, and or just like this person's history in romance, your history in romance. It's almost like they've chosen a slow and steady approach to this, kind of holding back, restraining themselves as far as, acting on those kind of sexual urges and desires. But there's a sense of almost like they can no longer justify investing energy in kind of fighting that. They no longer can kind of sit within a place of rationalizing that it's better to kind of just keep things surface level. It's better to kind of experience one another up to that brink where something should happen and then I pull away, or I don't do anything and you kind of redirect your energy. Like that's tired, that's done, that's all over with. And so there's a huge urge inside of them, like, I have to know, is there something more that can happen between the two of us? Or, maybe is this the limit? Is this kind of the threshold of where we're at? They also say, wait for me. So this feels like something where, again, there's been some kind of mixed signals, or something where, you might have kind of misread some signs from this person, or, you got all up in your head as far as like, okay, it feels like they want something more, they like me as more than a friend, or, whatever that looks like. And their failure to act upon that very tangible chemistry, that palpable chemistry between the two of you, that like other people may notice if they're in the same kind of room or vicinity as you, or certainly the two of you have both consciously recognized, maybe even back to that idea of like humor, you've talked about it as kind of a joke. Like, wouldn't that be funny if we hooked up? What if we, we're so great as friends? What if we slept together? What if we started dating? Like, it might have just been something that has been kind of glossed over on the surface, but they were very serious about that, or they are very serious about kind of, bringing in that level of conversation, kind of that 10 of Swords energy. Okay, we're done as just friends. We're done not acknowledging the elephant in the room. And with that 8 of Wands that was coming up earlier, it's like, okay, let's speak on this. Let's address it directly. Let's come up with a plan. Let's take steps forward in order to, not just kind of sit and let that chemistry be sort of the deciding factor between the two of us, or something that creates distance, but let's explore that in some way. They also say, I want to talk to you. Yeah, so they want to have more experiences with you, more interactions with you. This isn't somebody who's wanting to cut you off or discard you, or, you know, is not attracted to you, is kind of not into you. This is somebody that wants to take things to the next level. They want to expand beyond the level of trust that has been created between the two of you, or even just the process of getting to know one another. And it's like you've earned this person's trust, so they're getting ready to let down those walls, let down that guard that is just kind of like a self-restricting kind of energy. And it's like once this person gets started along that passionate road, kind of walking that road with you, it feels like they are maybe a very passionate lover, a very intense lover, a very loyal lover. And so they could be very cautious to who they give their heart to, or who they open up to. They're more discerning at this point in their life. It's quality, not quantity. You know, so they themselves may be at a point in their journey of just kind of like, I'm not going to act on every impulse. I'm not just going to chase after every attractive woman, or I'm not just going to give myself to every hot guy that shows up. You know, and so there's a sense of like, you somehow have kind of found your way into this person's heart space, or into a place within themselves that it's like, okay, I'm willing to break my rules for you. I'm willing to take things to the next level. I'm curious, I'm eager, I'm enthusiastic, I'm hungry for you. I want to experience you. I want to see if there's something more that is possible between the two of us, or this might even be somebody that could be sitting in this energy of like, if I don't take action in this capacity, then I have no choice but to just sort of think to myself, maybe this is limerence. If I'm not doing something in order to, you know, kind of see, are you on the same page as me? Or, you know, do we have what it takes to kind of be an actual like romantic couple with one another? Then they may even be sort of asking themselves like, what's the point of continuing between us? You know, would that damage our connection? Would it strengthen our connection? It's like they need to know, they need to have answers. And so they're definitely planning something, planning action towards you. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got N, W, O, Q, L, V, O, P, S, R, B, N, B, C, and Z. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. We chose the Firestone. So let's see, what does the person on your mind want to happen the next time they talk to you, or see you, or have some kind of interaction with you? Okay, we have the Devil, the Queen of Pentacles, Three of Wands, and the Ten of Pentacles. So this feels like the energy of a confession, a long-awaited confession. This may be somebody that had kind of dropped off the radar. Maybe things kind of kept them busy, or caused them to have to like cancel plans, or there was sort of an abrupt change last minute that has kind of made you maybe misinterpret what has happened as like a red flag. Something to where it's almost like the change up within this person has caused you to kind of, you know, think about things like, maybe being a little bit paranoid? Are they seeing somebody else? Were they just giving me the runaround? Was just another example of like a karmic connection, like things I've experienced in the past, or like I've been working to avoid within myself. And so you might be somebody that your expectations are very low for this person in terms of like, I don't know how they're gonna pull this off. I don't know how they're going to redeem themselves. You might have even just closed off to that possibility, kind of like out of sight, out of mind, and you're sort of pushing forward in another direction. And it feels like they want to come through with some sort of an explanation, providing even like facts and context, where it's not just empty excuses or empty promises, but like legitimately there may be things about this person that like you're not aware of, struggles that they've been having or that they go through habitually that they've kind of like kept in the dark, or maybe you don't know each other well enough that you'd be aware of these things. This could be somebody that was having some kind of like family issues, something financial that was going on, that has caused them, maybe even out of kind of like pride and ego or being sort of embarrassed about their situation, to kind of just go quiet. They may have been raised as somebody that's like, you suck it up, you deal with your problems, you just keep pushing forward, you don't complain, you don't ask for help. And so in this kind of time period where something, it feels like, has kind of brought like an abrupt conclusion, or has created some kind of like wonky energy between the two of you, or something where it's been very difficult to connect, this person is wanting to like come back into your life, or come back into your reality, and provide you with the context of sort of their reasoning behind things, some kind of confession that they want to make that'll help you, it feels like, see them, who they are as a person, what they do as a living, how they live their life. It'll help you to understand them from a different perspective, because they see long-term potential with you in this situation. And it may even be something where they had high hopes kind of earlier on in your interactions, and then life got in the way, or something happened financially, or it might have even been something that happened with a family member, where they had to kind of just peel away from the connection, but you weren't close enough with one another, or it just wasn't like in their kind of inherent or entrained nature to be vulnerable about that. Like they just deal with their struggles very privately. And so it feels like this is a leap of faith on their part to kind of like open up to you, explain things to you. It may even involve like introducing you to different sorts of people. Like if you'd been kind of thinking like, I don't know, are they seeing someone on the side? They may have had a family member they were trying to like help or needed to be there for. And so it may involve kind of like they're showing back up as sort of like, yeah, I know that it's been a while, or I know that, I haven't been available, or I've just been kind of like non-responsive in general. I'd like you to meet this person. This is my, whatever that would be, like a close friend or a family member. This is somebody that was kind of like going through some things, and I had to be there for them. This is somebody that was going through like a transitional period, or had some kind of crisis, and I had to sort of devote myself fully to that. And so this is somebody who's very aware that they can't just sort of slide back into your reality and act as if nothing has happened and expect to get the same kind of open exchange with you as had been the case before. So again, this is somebody that wants to like give you some kind of context about what's been going on with them, so that you, if you choose to move forward into kind of like reestablishing communication or picking up where you left off on, you're going to have a better understanding of like other things that go on in their life that may be kind of, these may be routine or regular, or there's a possibility it could reoccur again, where they're needing it like last minute, moment's notice, no time to really kind of talk or explain things. They're having to like shift their priorities, or kind of take a step back, or maybe go somewhere or do something, or like be around people where they're not at liberty to talk. They don't have like the time to talk, or if this is like in kind of an early stages of a connection and they've had sort of like family things going on, it may even be that it's like, I'm not ready for you necessarily to like meet the parents, or to come fully into my reality in that sense. And with these things going on, like if I have to take a step away from our situation, to show up for these other people, because I'm not ready to let them in as well on this component of my life. I need you to trust me. I need you to understand where it is that I'm coming from. So it's almost like somebody who wants to assert for themselves and explain some sort of boundary that's been put in place, but not because you've done anything to cross the line, but just because it's something that's like, it's a part of who they are, or something that they've gone through, or like still in the midst of dealing with, that because of like who they are, or kind of the nature of your encounter at this point, it's like it's not appropriate necessarily, or they wouldn't want you to have to like be there as a support system. They might not be in a position to like talk, or to want to kind of, have somebody to vent to. It might even just be where they've had to kind of put on sort of a non-emotional face for whatever this is, something that may involve a lot of stress, a lot of struggles, a lot of fear on other people's part. They may be having to hold down space for other people who are going through some things. And so with that, it's almost like the version of them that you've come to know doesn't align with kind of what is sort of this temporary requirement, or what has kind of pulled them off in another direction. So it feels like it's kind of an olive branch, or almost like when somebody says, okay, I'm ready to give you a key to my place. When you reach that point of like dating or being with someone, this is almost like they're giving you a key to their inner kind of sanctum, or more of that sort of inner chamber within, of kind of like, this is something that is part of my life. This is something that I have going on. This is something that if this reoccurs in the future, something like this happens, please don't take it personally if I'm just kind of eject myself out of the situation with you for a period of time. So let's see what else they want to happen the next time they see you, or speak to you, or interact with you. Okay, we have peace, loyal heart, and serendipity. Yeah, so in addition to, kind of like explanations, that it feels like there'll be some evidence that they bring in terms of this little olive branch right here. It's not just going to be like, have faith in me, trust in what I'm saying at face value, even though my actions have kind of given you cause to sort of think twice about taking a chance on me, or opening up to me, or whatever we had going with one another before I needed to like step away from the connection. It's almost like beyond just those words or those explanations, there's something that they're going to present you with, or provide you with, let you read, let you look at, let you see, or again, for some, it could be like somebody that they're getting ready to introduce you to, or something that they might have even needed to kind of prepare people in their life to meet you. And they did it in sort of like okay, I'm having to like sit down with these people, or maybe somebody in particular, and kind of explain this part of myself, this choice at this point. This may be somebody that also has a lot of obligations and responsibilities to family, to work, to things like that, and they've had to set some boundaries with those kind of things in order to be able to prioritize spending more time with you, or spending more time in kind of the segment of their life that aligns with the kind of experience that has created an open door between the two of you. So it's almost somebody that's been like shuffling pieces around behind the scenes, in order to kind of deal with what they have to deal with. This idea of loyal heart is like, they have a duty, they have an obligation. This doesn't feel to be anything that's like third party in terms of like another romantic person, but it may be, if this person has kids from another connection, there could have been something going on with that. This can be kind of like as part of like a family, family members or extended family members. This can be something having to do with like friends, or, even something having to do with a professional component of something they've been trying to launch or get off the ground, or that they do that you haven't been aware of, that has kind of called them away from this situation. It may even be where a certain level of discretion or discernment is required because the nature of whatever this is, or the people involved, to where it's kind of like it's nothing personal against you, that they've sort of shut you out maybe, but this is almost the sense of kind of like, it wasn't right for me to like bring you in on this, or other people involved wouldn't have been comfortable with the idea of like, I'm making this other person aware of like what I have going on, or the nature of kind of what that family dynamic is like, what that professional thing that I'm working on, behind the scenes, what that involves. Whatever this kind of is, it feels like they've been sort of easing other people into the idea of sort of like, yeah, I'm showing up for you, or I'm doing this, but that may be something as well that kind of like needs to change, or there needs to be adjustments of, or it can be that process of preparing to like bring you more into the fold, so that it's not just, okay, I got to go do my thing, I'm going to abruptly have to like shift my approach with you, but something to where it's like, even if those very last minute sort of things are required, that you have some kind of understanding that this isn't just somebody out there, having someone on the side. This isn't just somebody out there that is, has kind of like is wasting your time or is trying to manipulate you in some kind of way. They want to provide you with some reassurance that they see you as their lucky break, their great opportunity in this life so far, romantically speaking, has been meeting you. So with this is almost something that may involve, they may bring you flowers. If they had to like travel somewhere or go do something, they may bring you some kind of like a souvenir, something that kind of like showcases to you like, hey, I was thinking about you, even if we didn't have our communication, or it wasn't regular, or I was kind of like short-tempered, or whatever that might have looked like. It's that they're wanting to kind of like give you that peace of mind. I was away from you, but you were very much like within my heart space. I kept you in that kind of safe, sacred space within. But the nature of whatever I've had going on, it wasn't the right time or circumstance for us to get kind of in that vibe where everything's flowing, where we're connecting, where, we're talking about romantic things, or having those romantic experiences with one another. It's almost somebody who needed to kind of take the unemotional approach. Maybe it's been all business for them at this point in time, literally, or just in terms of like the mood that they're needing to kind of establish or hold fast to through whatever has kind of gone on behind the scenes. So it's some kind of peek or glimpse into that internal reality that it feels like is something that you're going to understand based on the nature of what they present, or what they share with you, or even people that they introduce you to, to give you some kind of context of sort of where they were, who they were with, what was going on. In some sort of way, it's like you're going to understand that it's like they don't just go out on a limb like this for everybody. This isn't just something that's like all the people in their life, or that they deal with, friends or acquaintances or coworkers or whatever that is. Not all those people know the side of this person, or even like family may not know the side of this person, but you're getting some kind of peek or glimpse into that. It's like an extension of trust. It's that olive branch, but also this kind of like, I'm trusting you enough to kind of like share this with you, to open up a little bit about this experience, or to kind of put a pause in this process, because they may still be going through whatever this is, and kind of like reaching out to have some kind of honest or open sort of conversation to put your mind at ease, to give you some kind of peace of mind, while they finish kind of whatever it is they're trying to like work through, or hold space for somebody else in kind of their time of need to work through. So let's get a couple more and see what else they want to happen the next time they see you, or interact with you, or talk to you. And then I'll get some message cards from their higher self. Okay, we have union and partnership. Yeah, so they're definitely wanting to strengthen the bond between the two of you. They know that they've created some kind of confusion or disappointment or uncertainty, and that you may be second guessing everything that's happened to them up to this point in time. They may feel you energetically detaching, kind of preparing to maybe not hear from them again, or preparing that like the next conversation is going to be the deal breaker conversation, or something, where you're rejected or you're discarded. They can anticipate that based on your energy, based on what they're aware of has been their kind of, it feels like an actual, not just like they've been cold necessarily. Like if you're having conversation still, or they respond to you, it may be sort of cold or brief, but there's a sense of almost like they know that things were going at a certain pace. There was a flow, there was a rhythm. You were aligned with one another. You were doing a dance with one another, and all of a sudden they switched up, and you're left standing there kind of like, okay, what happened? What did I do wrong? What did I say? what was I thinking in terms of like giving this person a chance if they've just done this? So you might almost be in the energy of like, you're kind of embarrassed, like, ooh, why did I open up to this person? Why did I give them a chance? Or if it's someone you're trying to reconcile with, kind of like, why did I let them back in? Because this feels so familiar with stuff that I dealt with them in the past, or, you know, shit that I've been through with other people. Like, whatever that looks like, they can tell that it's like the ball is now in their court to try and sort of like salvage what you have between the two of you. But more than that, because it feels like something that it's almost providing you with some kind of context of like, everything's fine, nothing's broken, you know, almost like I'll be right back, even though that might be kind of an extended sort of, you know, time frame or window. But it's something they want to provide you with some kind of demonstration, some kind of expression, something that isn't just empty promises, that lets you know, I'm in a transitional period right now, or I've got these other kind of things, these other sort of stressors, these other aspects that are happening, or these aspects to me that are like part of who I am. And I want to have momentum with you. I want to have a future with you. I want to experience something more with you. But now you need to kind of understand this component of me to be able to decide, can you hold space for this? Is this something that fits in with your kind of idea of what love and partnership would be? And if it's not, this almost feels like somebody that's like, what can I do to fix that? What can I do to kind of compensate for this? What can I do to provide you with some kind of reassurance or peace of mind that I'm not out here running around. I'm not out here, you know, seeing other people or cheating, or, you know, keeping my options open, or kind of, you know, sampling if the grass is greener elsewhere. It feels like this might have given you that idea. It may feel very familiar to things like that you'd experienced with other individuals in your past. But with this person, it feels like it's a very legitimate thing. Like when you hear about what this is, or when they explain it, it's kind of, it may just be like a huge sigh of relief. Like you went into panic mode over nothing. You know, you might have gotten into those kind of dark thoughts for nothing, as like a trigger, but, you know, something to heal, but not that is based on any kind of foundational reality in terms of who this person is, or what they have going on, or what's been happening while they've been kind of away, or communication's been sort of cut off between the two of you. So it's something that kind of like, it's the olive branch, it's the extension of trust, but then it's also something that feels like will provide you a lot more context for aspects of them that you weren't aware of, so that you're able to decide for yourself, make an educated decision. Like, is this the type of person I want to continue to align with? And if so, what do I need to do within myself in order to soften off that reflex to think of like worst case scenarios, and just hold that space of trust that maybe they can't talk about everything. Maybe, you know, this is like emotional stuff that they're going through, or it's a lot of stress. And so they're trying to almost like protect you or the connection from that, or it's just not in their nature to kind of share those things. They're sort of like holding it down and just trying to kind of get through the day. But it's something that feels like that they want to provide you with some sort of explanation, some sort of window into their thought process with all of that. So let's see what they want you to know from their higher self. Okay, and they say what we have is soul recognition. Yeah, so they see you as somebody very exceptional, very special, very unique. They have very deep and tender feelings for you, and they're not wanting this aspect of their life or something that they've been going through. They're not wanting this to signal the end of the connection between the two of you. They want to explore the deeper layers of what's possible, and perhaps even use this experience as an opportunity to be stronger together. They also say your words speak to me like no others can. So they want to hear your voice. They want to talk to you. They want to have a conversation. They miss you. They miss the experiences with you. They miss the time together. So they're wanting to make up for lost time, or in some kind of way, you know, to help you kind of have this sort of reassurance that, you know, they might have stepped away from the connection, but they're not going anywhere. They also say, I want your attention. Yeah, so you may get very sudden communication, like out of the blue, there they are. They show up at your house, or, you know, something that kind of goes from radio silence to, okay, here's the explanation, here's the proof that what I'm saying is real. You know, here are the options for us at this particular point in time. Here's everything laid out on the table. And we also have my nerves get the best of me sometimes. And so this, again, is something that they know they've like disappointed you. They've left you hanging. They're anticipating that when they next sort of see you or speak to you or attempt to reach out, they know you're going to have your guard up. They know you're going to have some kind of wall up, maybe because you've shared things about your past romantically, or they're just self-aware enough to know, if someone did this to me, how would I feel? So it feels like they're coming in with the energy of like, more is more, not less is more, but more is more. A lot of transparency, full disclosure. So like, what are your questions? What kind of reassurances do you need in order to kind of de-escalate from like a defensiveness or triggered kind of energy that they feel is very justifiable, so that you can ease back into a place of like, okay, we're getting back on track with one another, everything's fine, all is well, and we're moving forward. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. I've got Y, M, V, Y, B, G, L, E, R, X, Q, L, P, F, R, and M. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Amethyst. So let's see, what does the person on your mind want to happen the next time they see you or talk to you or have some kind of interaction with you? Okay, so we have the Knight of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles, Five of Swords, and the King of Wands. So with these energies I'm hearing, I'm not cut out for this. And so it feels like this is something where this person may be very direct and almost very blunt with trying to kind of clear up any sort of misunderstanding between the two of you, or feeling that they almost bit off more than they could chew in terms of a connection with you. Maybe they've confronted some kind of fear or triggers that is kind of a test or a gauntlet, or is gatekeeping their ability to experience the joy and pleasure of what you bring to the table as a person, that they're needing to work through in order to potentially redeem themselves with you further down the road. But for a lot of people, it feels like this person might have almost been operating very strongly within ego. They presented themselves to be somebody that they're not, or they came towards you maybe even with the best of intentions before, and kind of like they were raring to go. They were ready to get to know you. They were like, whatever happens between the two of us, I'm on board. I'm ready for all of that. And they've really fallen short in that capacity, or who you are as a person, the way that you love, the way that you live your life, or what you've kind of expressed or shown them them moving forward in terms of like what you're wanting, what you're desiring in a partner. Maybe you've been very direct, you've expressed yourself, and it's something where they don't feel that they can live up to those expectations, or in some sort of way they're almost feeling like, if you continue to get to know me, you're going to see me as an imposter. If you continue to get to know me, I'm going to fall off of a pedestal that they're almost sensing, or maybe just fearing that you put them on in some way. You might have been very enthusiastic in terms of like thinking in terms of long-term potential, maybe making plans in a long-term sense, or you've had some kind of experience with one another where maybe you went on a vacation, you went on a trip, you kind of took things to the next level, and it's caused this person to sort of see in some sort of way that is very challenging for them. You easily outshine them, or you're somebody that is worth so much more than they are able to give at this point in general, or as like a whole. They don't feel that in a long-term sense you'd be satisfied with them as a partner by your side. So for a lot of you, this is going to be like somebody who's the bearer of bad news, somebody that is going to kind of give a letdown. Something where, it might not be salvageable from this point forward, but it's almost somebody that's like, I have to, be honest. I have to kind of do the right thing. I don't want to waste any more of either of our time in this energy of uncertainty, or, I don't want to like pretend that I'm on board with this, or that I can be who you need me to be, or I can keep up with who it is that you're evolving into, or whatever it is that you have going on. And so it feels like, for some people, they're going to try to be very nice about it, very sort of kind about it. It's not you, it's me, kind of an energy. Although anytime somebody gives that kind of rejection or letdown, it's always disappointing. But for some, it's like they're going to try to soften the blow somewhat. But for others, this may be somebody that their ego has been highly triggered by you, or even kind of like feelings that surfaced. This may be somebody that was not looking for anything serious, was kind of just wanting something casual, and they almost are kind of like, you're bringing a level of authenticity to the table that doesn't match what they are wanting at this point in their life, or what they're able to provide at this point in their life. And so there's almost a sense of kind of like, if they continue to have interactions with you, if they continue to date you, if they continue to have sex with you, if they continue to kind of like be in your energy, or within your presence, or participate with you, then it just keeps highlighting within kind of the difference between them and you. And so from that place of being very triggered within the ego, this may even be somebody that is kind of harsh, kind of rude with whatever it is that they say. They may project onto you, kind of like, you are expecting too much. I don't know what you thought this would be, but it's not that. And so this is something that may kind of come out of left field for a lot of you. And for some, it's just going to be like a lesson chalked up. This may just be like a karmic individual. For others of you, this will be an opportunity to assert yourself. If this is just somebody that's having like imposter syndrome, or, maybe fear of wish fulfillment that's causing them to self-sabotage a little, there could be some wiggle room further down the road for them to turn this situation around. But it feels like for a lot of you, this is going to signal kind of the end, or, at a minimum, kind of a longer term pause in the interaction or the connection between the two of you. This may even be somebody that wants to let you know they're just looking for sex. They're not looking for anything serious. They may kind of bring forth the energy of like you were pressuring them to make a decision. They felt backed into a corner. It's too intense. It's too much. You're wanting too much from them, or they can't be what you need. And all of that kind of indicating that like you've been a catalyst for something inside of them that they weren't prepared for, they weren't anticipating would happen, or to be able to kind of continue forth with you into something further down the road. It's like they have to move beyond this energy, or understand this energy within, or even kind of like take a leap of faith forward towards you despite the fear. But it feels like they're kind of just like digging their heels in. They're not going to budge. They're not wanting to progress forward anymore. So let's get a couple more and see what else they want to happen the next time they see you, or interact with you, or talk to you. Okay, so we've got no place like home, new life, and loyal heart. Yeah, so this is somebody who struggles to recognize how they fit into like your long-term plans. Where's a place for me in the equation of what you have going on in your life? And even if you felt that everything's very aligned and you kind of given this person some space, you've been not trying to like put pressure on the situation, they are just at a point of kind of like, you need to put yourself on that pedestal because I'm just going to disappoint you. It feels like something that they almost kind of, especially if they had sort of presented a version of themselves that doesn't match up to the reality, there's almost a sense of feeling that they need to kind of skulk away because you bought what they had to sell hook, line, and sinker. And unfortunately, it's something that like the reality of this person in a long-term sense, they don't feel, or they truly don't have the stamina to be able to kind of continue to have this sort of glow up with you, or to meet you on those kind of higher planes, romantically speaking. And so there's a sense of kind of like choosing themselves as opposed to choosing you in this situation, which again, this can be something that indicates like a deep-seated fear, some kind of inner childhood wound. Somebody could have like abandonment wounds, and so they tend towards self-sabotage. Which could be the demonstration of what you're about to see here. In terms of that next interaction, for some, it's even possible that they'll just not reach out again. You may be getting ready to be like ghosted, or, stonewalled or gray rocked, or whatever that kind of looks like, not as an indicator of anything that you've done wrong, but as some kind of impasse within this person where they feel very threatened by your light. They feel very intimidated by you, and not in a way that they're currently at the point of being able to like rise to the challenge. They might not be emotionally evolved enough to kind of recognize that within themselves, or to feel that fear and kind of fight their way through it. And so it's almost like it's you or me, and I'm choosing myself kind of an energy here. So it may be sort of a letdown, a costly lesson for some, or a cheap lesson if this has happened kind of early on in this interaction. Or if you've been down the road with people like this before, it may hurt. It may be very sudden. It may be very surprising, but it might also be something where you're like, yeah, I've been through this rodeo with someone else or other people. And, this can signal the end of like a cycle for you, breaking free from this, or, kind of, utilizing sort of the ways in which you've educated yourself emotionally, you've healed, you've up-leveled, you've done some inner work. And so it may be very easy for you, depending on what this person says or does, or if they just fall off and you never hear from them again. This may be something where you're very able to kind of pinpoint, like, okay, I can kind of follow that sort of trail of experience. I can connect the dots in this situation, and I can recognize and understand I've been down this road before with other people. And so it disempowers that experience with this person, because you can label it, you can name it, you can translate it, you can define, oh, they're doing this, well, that's called this. They're acting in this way, so they must be this kind of person. For some of you, this is like a full-blown narcissist, and so they're getting ready to pull their own covers and kind of show you some aspect of this, where you may really feel like they strung you along, and for some of you they did. For others, this is just the experience, though, of somebody that like there could be hope in the future for the two of you to kind of evolve and transcend beyond this, but it feels like almost a break or a period apart is necessary, because this person has collided with some kind of fear, some kind of sense of like, I can't be everything that you want, or you don't know who I really am. And if you were to find that out, it would not align at all with what it is you bring to the table, what it is you're looking for. It's maybe somebody that has kind of an attitude of like, well, love just always ends up as kind of like hurt anyway, so better to kind of kick the legs out of the tripod, and be the one in control of that process rather than having the rug pulled out from under me, as may have occurred with partners in their past. So let's just get a couple more to see kind of what else they want to happen the next time they reach out or talk to you or have an interaction. And then I'll get some message cards from their higher self. Okay, so you have nature and pilgrimage. Yeah, so this is somebody that may even just kind of tell you like, hey, I'm not looking for commitment. I can't give you what you want. I need to go my own way for a while. Something that is almost kind of, they may even reference kind of like my instincts are telling me that, you're wanting one thing, or maybe you're reading too much into our interactions with one another up to this point in time, or maybe this is somebody that, you've had a sexual encounter with, and now they're choosing to kind of depart the scene in some sort of way. And so it's something that reveals kind of their core nature, their inner nature. For those of you that are dealing with like a real narcissist or just kind of a shitty person, this is kind of, you're getting ready to sort of see that. Not you being put out in the cold, but this person kind of remaining loyal to that sort of lower vibration within themselves. For others of you, though, this is somebody that it's like they need to go on that discovery of finding themselves. They need to recognize what they had when it's gone, when they've pushed it aside, when they've thrown it in the trash. And maybe there'll be an opportunity for them to kind of redeem themselves or to come back around in the future. But it might also just be where like, this is their lesson. This will be their loss. By the time they figure that out, you will have kind of stepped into your new life with somebody else, or, just kind of loving on yourself and maybe not giving this person another opportunity to do this to you. If you've had this back and forth with this person already, like many times or on other occasions, this may be kind of that period of time where it's sort of like, if you leave, don't try to come back. If you shut me out, or if you're non-responsive, don't think that, time can pass and you can just come back in here and everything's fine. And so it definitely kind of signals the close of a cycle or chapter or just an experience in general with this person that might almost, like, it'll hurt, but it almost might not be that disappointing. There may have been things about this person or this situation or kind of their conduct up to this point where your instinct could have been like, yeah, something feels off any minute now. It's, they're going to bring the hammer down. I know it. I feel it. It feels weird. It feels different. They've been acting different. And so for those of you that you've been getting those kind of feelings of dread or almost like panic in some sort of way, this may be an experience that kind of validates that. It proves those instincts right, that you weren't just reading too much into things, but something this person is getting ready to like say or to do, or maybe it's just kind of, the communication stops altogether. It feels like that will be very validating for kind of what your inner knowing has maybe been suggesting about them for a while or recently. So let's see what they want you to know from their higher self. Okay, and they say, I miss you more than you know. So this person, like, deep down inside knows that they're missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime, or the opportunity to, experience a very beautiful love connection with another person, but their ego won't allow them to kind of be situated in a place of either being empowered by love, which would crumble all, their pessimism, their jadedness, the energy of like, love sucks. But if you don't have a love story that sucks, how can you still hold on to that belief system? So maybe that you've like challenged this person in some sort of way just by being yourself or by feelings that have surfaced within. And so they're choosing to kind of remain loyal to that fear, to sort of push away this opportunity, it feels like. And there's a part of them that kind of knows once they say something, once they do something, there's no like coming back from that. They also say no one else matters now. So this is definitely the energy of somebody who's closing off to this connection. They're choosing themselves as opposed to remaining kind of in the energy of feeling uncomfortable, feeling that at any point in time they're going to be found out, they're going to be discovered to not be kind of who they presented themselves to be, or not be as kind of enthusiastic or engaged with the connection as they had once sort of presented on the surface level. And so this is somebody, it feels like, that is getting ready to withdraw themselves from you, or has done so already, and it's kind of like, I just need to keep choosing me and pushing forward. They might not even be at a place within themselves of kind of doing sort of the kind thing of providing you with an explanation. It may just be very kind of like modern love, where it's like, oh, all of a sudden I'm not interested, so you just never hear from me again. Like, they may not give you any closure, kind of an energy. They also say, my karmic story is ending. So this could be somebody that had another person on the side. They could also be choosing another partner, maybe somebody that doesn't trigger them as much, doesn't challenge them as much, doesn't expect as much out of them, or doesn't kind of bring to the surface the sense of kind of like, this may be somebody that is used to being the center of attention, and your energy, your light, who you are as a person, it makes them feel very insecure. How can I be the center of the world if you're shining more brightly than I do, with every ounce of effort invested in kind of painting that picture for the world? So this may be something where they've chosen to return to somebody that is like lower vibrational, doesn't challenge them, maybe isn't as intelligent, is kind of just will settle, and will settle for kind of whatever this person brings to the table. And this can also just indicate kind of that idea of, sort of remaining aligned with that energy of like, I don't think I could meet your expectations. I don't think I'm cut out for this. I don't think that I'll be somebody that satisfies you or can keep up with you in a long-term sense. They also say, suddenly all the songs I hear are about you. So they may have been getting a lot of signs and synchronicities that were encouraging them to like give this connection a real chance, or to, take a bold step in the direction of like creating more romance or more certainty between the two of you. And it's like they're choosing to use their free will to move in the opposite direction. They may be very overwhelmed by the nature of signs and synchronicities. They may be like, did you put a spell on me? Is there something weird going on? Are you like using mind control on me? Like, what is happening? I feel out of control within myself, within my emotions. I don't feel good. I don't feel empowered within this situation. So they've definitely chosen like a fear-based path, a fear-based paradigm and polarity. And they may just be at a point within themselves of like projecting blame, pointing the finger of blame. You've done something. You're expecting too much. You're putting too much pressure on me. And you may have just been showing up within the connection, kind of just going with the flow, letting this person take the lead, letting things develop naturally. And it's reached the point, it feels like, within them where the universe was giving them the green light that like, this is good for you, this is a healthy thing, this is, a stable partner, or somebody that's of a higher quality and caliber than what you've dealt with previously. But they didn't have like the belief within themselves that that was real, or that would be a good thing. Or this almost is like the energy of like, you brought forth a very healing energy to them, or something that could have, if they'd chosen to participate more with you, that it could have helped them to kind of rise beyond wounds within. But like, if somebody doesn't want to let go of their woundedness, or they don't want to accept healing, you can't force that upon people. So this may be somebody that is just, they've built their personality or much of their life around that woundedness, around toxicity, around a lower vibrational version of themselves. And they're scared of change. They're scared to let that go. They're scared of who they would become, or what life would look like beyond kind of that attitude or that outlook, and the actions that have corresponded from that, that speak to kind of like lower vibrational experiences, lower vibrational people settling, within connections that are like dramatic and sloppy and very toxic. And so it's almost like you've offered something that is more beautiful, or would be more kind of beneficial to them emotionally or as a person, but it's outside of the comfort zone. And so it's like they're choosing to just remain loyal to that woundedness. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got Z, L, D, G, V, A, H, O, D, O, T, S, Q, B, W, and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.